So
Well, I
anyway,
think
it was
you
just
feeling the
weird.
sensation is you getting
The pinnacle of human perspective.
okay.
Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. We are already having a fun discussion here. Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday. Welcome, Michelle Wolfe. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Always so happy to see you on Tuesday.
It is wonderful. I hope that you got your tea, Barbara. And so, yeah, we're all good to go here. And yeah, my grandson showed up, so running a little bit late, but better late than never. Well, we're always running late, right? So,
Yeah, that's our thing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
but
It's go, we just play it out, just go with the flow. We can ballpark it.
yeah, they've been chatting it up and having a good time in the chat. So
How's everybody feeling?
I see hearts and rainbows, so I think pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. So I guess let me show the Schumann because oh my God, is this not the weirdest
It
thing you've ever seen?
it's off the hook.
It's like they need to get another scale because this is they need to add some more colors and they need to have it to be longer because it's
Yeah.
way above 40 at this point and it's so bright that it's just washed out. It's just like we've
Just
gotten these
blocking it.
pulses. Yeah, you can see how we got, two really strong, those diamond shaped, kind of elongated diamond shaped
Yep.
ones. That was about, I guess, about a day ago. And then we've gotten these pulses, but now it is completely like whited out for like it's been like this for the last
Boom.
4 hours.
It's thrumming. It's
Crazy.
thrumming.
And
Yeah.
I've been feeling it. I had to go back to bed this morning. I just oh my God, I was so tired and it was so heavy on me. And I didn't know until I saw this. I was like, oh, this is what's going on with me here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really felt last night here, like the sky was so clear and the moon, we're just about at full now. And I was sitting, just chatting out here with my oldest. I'm like, whoa, it just hit me like woozy and almost like that helium balloon feeling inside you. Like it's not quite anxiety, but it's like there's something of this anticipation feeling with it. And I was starting to feel some twinges of a little bit of nausea yesterday, just like little flushes of it. I think
Mhm.
sometimes the energy gets overwhelming, but it was when it really hit me last night. I'm like, whoa, literally woozy, and I realized, well, I look at the moon was up and hitting me with that. I think it was really hitting me with that energy, and there was definitely something going on with that. Like it was pretty crazy. So.
I just refreshed it, and it does look like it's beginning to die off, but it's still like
Mm-hmm.
it's still super strong. But I'm beginning to see some green at the
Oh.
just
Do you know what
slowly.
that was? I was like, what is that dark? I'm like, what is that? It was a fly. I'm like,
Oh, don't worry, I didn't have it. They didn't see it, so
oh, okay.
I didn't see it either.
I'm
That
like,
would
there's
have
a
been
demon
funny.
in the room. It's just a fly on a
Like the
canvas.
opposite of an orb. What's going on? A demon orb.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Now,
know.
the other thing I wanted to bring up while we're on the subject of the Schumann is I pull up the Heart Math Institutes where they have all the 6 global sensors, and they black out. Maybe it's just offline or something. I don't know, but some of these sensors, it looks like the one in Alberta, Canada, and the one in uh, New Zealand has just been
Mm,
blacked out almost like this entire last week.
There's a lot of activity going on in New Zealand, I think. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
people in New Zealand, if they're here right now, may attest to that.
Yeah.
I know certainly, you know, if, I don't know if you've been touching base with Dutch Sense at all and seeing the flow of the earthquake and volcanic activity and the way it flows and travels. So like when it hits here, you're going to get it pulsed over here. And not so much Alberta, but I know New Zealand is one of the places where the energy ends up dropping off at, like, or how do I say, leads to that point in a lot of ways, I think. So curious.
Yeah.
I think some people there are feeling it a bit more. So,
Yeah,
but Alberta,
definitely.
who knows? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's like and I like that is only updated. Like when we're looking at this other one, it's from yesterday. They don't even show, like, it's not real time like this one in Russia is from Mr. MBB 333 where he's got it linked to it. This is actually yesterday, the 25th. So they're not even showing current information. But on this, you can actually just keep hitting refresh, and it will continually update. So
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I can leave the Schumann up from Mr. MBB and just refresh it. And it'll constantly update it. And it's funny too, because the time, it's like 11 hours off for me. So it lines up pretty good as far as seeing, you know, it's only off like by an hour or so difference from
it
what's
seems
going
like
on here.
Seems like it's giving my time at the bottom, but maybe not. Or maybe it's an hour off. Let's see. It looks like it's almost 2, but yeah, it looks like it's almost 2 in here as well.
There's that fly again.
I took it off.
He's trying to make a cameo. He's trying to make a cameo. Hey, how's it going?
Photo bomb.
Yeah, like the dogs aren't bad enough.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's right there. I mean, it's anybody can see it. Something's going on there, and I don't really know what it is. It's wild. I mean, we've got some forward-facing, Earth-facing coronal holes right now that is probably really amping up the sun's wind. But don't you also haven't you mentioned Lisa Harrison before? Or no? Was that you? Okay.
I don't think so. But what are you recalling?
I recalled her bringing up the fact that Secure Team had talked at the beginning of June about them seeing this flash from another galaxy that was like 100 times brighter than a supernova.
Yeah, I actually went in and read the actual report on it that he posted with it to look at this more specific information that was directly related. And it was, I think it was June 14th, I think. It was actually, it was sooner than I had thought, because sometimes, you know, with these larger reports, I don't know how many months ago they actually like recorded the event, but it was very, very recent. So that's what I think his newest video that he has out right now, is that the one that you're talking about, like the super, way brighter than a supernova. And
the one I saw was Lisa Harrison. It came up in my feed and I clicked it, and she was talking about his video. So I don't know which video it is. So, but it was her brand new video.
Around. Well, it certainly resonated with me. So I saw it pop up. I watched it, and then the next thing that popped up I'm watching, was there's trigger words again in there, and I think it was a little bit more than algorithms. Like, it was certainly hitting me. There's that fly again.
We saw it. Yay! Yeah. Now you can leave. We saw you.
You saw him now? Okay.
It just looked blurry to me.
He was really persistent. I don't even know how he's finding the camera. But yeah, so.
Do you have a little light on your camera?
No.
Oh, no. I was thinking maybe the light's attracting him or something.
No, it's the iPad, and he's going like right on the little tiny circle. That's the camera. How is he even finding that? I don't know. But hopefully that was enough. He got his cameo appearance, and he's done now.
That's funny.
Time to let the ego go, fly. Fly away.
That's hilarious.
All about releasing the ego right now. But I think you have to allow your ego time to play too.
Yes.
Yes.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, don't put it in a closet, lock the door, and pretend it's not there.
Yeah, you just
It
really
still is.
it's there. You just don't want it running things, right? Isn't that sort of the
No,
rule of thumb?
no, you don't want it running things, but you also have to give it its little time to shine every now and then too.
Yeah. Put it in the
And then it'll
passenger
go back
seat.
in the box a little easier.
Get in the back seat. Don't try to put it in the trunk though, right?
Yeah, yeah. We can let it sing a little bit every now and then say, okay, you can sit back down again, put your diaper back on, and
Right.
the bottle back in your mouth, and
So, okay, so you did have another QHHT session. How much of
I
that do you want to share? Any?
I did. Well, I haven't fully because Michael sent it over to me. Woo, there we go. Michael sent it over to me later last night. So, and I can't recall
Right, that's
everything.
amazing when you go so deep that, like, just like Lori was talking about, you sort of get this overview, but then when you listen to it, you start remembering details that you totally forgot and stuff.
Yeah, it would be like trying to recall a dream, and you can remember like sort of an overview of it, but you can't remember all the details that you get into. So that's what surprises me when I go back and listen. And then when I hear myself talking about the details, then I can see them again. I hope that's not too loud. I'm sorry. The dog's sorry.
What?
The what?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Every time. If I shut the door, it's a no-win situation. Sorry, they will stop. So the totally squirrel.
Can you totally tell what Zoe's saying? Chloe, what's his name?
Zoe.
Zoe.
Zoe. That's my crazy hippie dog. Zoe.
And what's the other one's name?
Archer.
Archer.
Yeah, the little dude, little nugget. He's named Archer.
Is he quiet compared to Zoe?
Yes. Yeah. But then she'll get him worked up, right?
Right.
So he's like got to go out there like a little tough guy and sort things out. It's like, who are you
Right.
kidding? Yeah.
So at any rate, we'll have more of an update about the other session next week after you have time to.
Yeah, well,
review it more.
I did get to listen to some interesting things, and the first life in Egypt accidentally didn't get recorded, but that's okay. That was a pretty interesting experience, a little far out there for me to share. But then the next experience was really beautiful, and that was actually a new earth experience in my home, in the tree, and with my friends, and coming together and preparing food, and we were having a conversation at the table together with Michael in the hypnosis session, which was really interesting. That was a pretty new, interesting experience. And so when Michael asked about the event experience in how that crossing over was, it wasn't my story that was told. I don't think my higher self wants me to know that and likes the mystery to it. But somebody else at the table said, I'm John, I'll tell my story, and told his perspective of what happened. And that was really interesting. And it was in July. And he was in a city, and it felt like a city in the States. He was sitting, it was like a more open area. I could see the tall buildings around, but he was an area, I think, where you could, like a patio kind of area. And he could see there's lots of people coming and going, people talking on their cell phones. Everybody's sort of in their own little world, not paying any attention to anything. He started to perceive the prickling and the intensity of the energy picking up, but then was like, oh, don't get yourself too excited. I felt this before, and so just kind of, but then it just kept progressing, and he's like, okay, really starting to feel it. And then that's when the flash happened, and it was just woof, like I saw the sun sort of like a ring of light around it, just going poof, like out, blasting out, and hit it, and everybody like dropped to the ground, like it was the brightest flash anybody's ever experienced. And
like they went unconscious, or they just like
dropped to the ground. Everybody just dropped to the ground, like you don't Yeah, no, not unconscious
But
necessarily,
like a
just more like
WTF moment, like what's going on? Let's get down.
exactly like, well,
Right.
like it was such a shock. You don't like, you probably wouldn't know if it was a bomb or if it was who knows what, right?
Right.
I don't know if there was a sound that went with it or not. I can't recall that. But and then everything stopped working. So as soon as the flash happened, and then everybody's kind of starting to regroup and pick themselves up, well, the traffic lights are all off, the cars are all stopped, everybody's trying to figure out their devices, nothing works, none of the technology
Oh
works.
my gosh, the teens are like freaking out. Their cell phones aren't working. They're like, what's going on here?
Oh yeah, they've never looked up and had an actual conversation before. What do they do now? They don't even know the words please and thank you. They only know I'll just have this, please.
Right.
Don't look at me. Most socializing skills. Anyways, so there's lots of people sort of really panicking, running around, like nothing's working, what's going on? And then what I saw was so with the flash coming in, that energy went down to the center of the earth and instigated something there, and then that was pulsing back out. So as people are noticing things not working, still trying to figure that out, John realizes nothing's going to work. He's not wasting his time running around trying to find a working cell phone or anything like that. And he goes immediately into prepare himself now for the energy, so he doesn't get back up. The other thing was, when the energy was prickling and coming in, he was starting to notice it. And Michael was asking me sort of what he had or whatever. If he had a newspaper in one hand, and he was doing this thing where he stomped his foot on the ground and he whacked his newspaper on the table to see, like, am I really like awake, because the energy was getting so surreal and freaky. So he did that, and then Michael asked me to look at the newspaper to see the date on the newspaper. Now I don't really like, I don't since dates are such a multi-dimensional experience in a way, so I don't myself put a lot on it. So, but I will tell you that the date that John said was on the newspaper that he was holding was July 22nd of this year. And he said, but it could be 23rd on, in on another side of the planet kind of thing, but it was the 22nd or 23rd. So I'm just relaying this information. And again, even Alison Coe herself says she looks at percentage. She doesn't just report this one person's experience, or she looks at the majority of repeated reports with unconnected ties. So I want to remind you all of
it doesn't matter
too.
how much you say that. There's
I
still
know,
going to people
but I don't like.
point their finger at you and say, "You false prophet, you."
You better never, because I'm telling you right now, not even myself. I'm not marking that date on the calendar. I'm just going to close this door. Guys, I'm sorry. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right. So the end of the world, July 22nd. You heard it yourself from Michelle Wolfe. So, no, I'm just kidding.
She can stay out there and bark to herself now. All right. That'll drown out some noise. So sorry.
Right. So yeah, Michelle Wolfe says the end of the world's July 22nd. We can put our 2-week notice in, right?
It was not the end of the world. It was not.
I'm just kidding.
I know. I know. The pressure's on. The pressure's on. Listen, I feel this could be like at any moment, any time. There's a lot of feeling, that this is definitely pivotal time. I do feel there was definitely comments that things are going ahead of plan, that they have progressed faster than expected. The reason for that was because of the transmission of ideas, activations, and information that we are putting through the internet.
Yeah.
So the ideas are and everything are traveling so much faster to the collective consciousness that it has actually escalated. So there may have been a time where like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna, but now, we are jumping ahead much more quickly now. I have to think that things like Neo Glimmers numbers, the different information, things that people are putting out, and how we are connecting, communicating with each other more has definitely really pushed this along. So, even though I still see the course of the, the 9-month progression that we talked about, the growing season, the construction season, all those things going into the fall, I still see anything's possible. And I do think that there's a good possibility with the alignment that we have coming up to the 19th. We're seeing, did you see the massive dust storm that covers the entire planet of Mars right now?
No, I didn't see that. Where'd you see that in, Mr. MBB 333 or somewhere else?
Oh, where did I see? You should be able to search that one pretty easy.
I'll check it
I
out.
think Secure Team might have done it. Yeah, I think Mr. MBB might have done it too, or Suspicious Observers possibly. I've seen it on a couple channels. But the entire planet is covered in a massive dust storm right now. What's causing that?
Right.
How can you think something like that is going on over there and something's got to be causing it and we're not getting the same effects of that? And I think that this has to do with this alignment as well coming in. And this is, we're seeing like 5.5s for the earthquakes, going to go to 6.5. It's going to go 7.5. I think as we get closer, we're going to see the elevation of those things. Mount Krakatoa's going off, if I pronounce that properly, like crazy stuff. So, and I think
I'm in it for the long haul myself. It's just, if it happens really soon, I'm totally stoked about it and stuff, but I'm just planning for a while.
You just got to do your thing. Yeah, you just got to do your thing. And
can't get let down anymore.
No, just, go about what inspires you through the day.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to be anyway, Shane. I think is not the searching, waiting, wanting, needing to. It's a tricky slope.
Yeah.
And especially difficult when we're being pushed to let go and release so many things like we are right now. And it can be very tiring. And the different stages that people are hitting with it. So I know that there's a lot of depression and increased suicides right now. So it can be really, really hard for other people. So grateful being in a place where I can enjoy the simplicity of life and just let things unfold as they will unfold, and feel good about that. It's the best place to be. But it can be difficult for a lot of people right now. I do understand that. So, but yeah, it's got to work either way, whether it's long haul, like whether it's 5 minutes from now or 5 years from now, it has to be okay.
Yeah. And listening to our higher self, as far as preparations are concerned, if we have a nudging to move or anything that's prepared, getting prepared for something, don't ignore those feelings, because or
don't create something that not create something that may look like a longer term project, because you actually don't know how fast you may complete something right now, or how quickly things may transpire. That may be surprising, I'm getting. So, actually a funny thing came up with Michael, like, should I even be bothering writing this book, he's saying. And I'm like, well, yeah, you don't know. You could suddenly be inspired to write that book and then write it in like one night. Like you just don't know. So, put the ideas out there and work on the ideas. And if they're meant to follow through to full fruition, then great. Or if they're meant to just be at that stage and that was enough, then great. It's all divine, right? So we still want to be creating our communities and pulling closer together and doing the things that inspire us, not just sit back and go, okay, well, maybe there's no point now because it's just gonna happen. I think we still need to be inspired and still need to be creative and still need to bring our community together, and the moment will be the moment. And I still don't know if we'll experience that moment in the same moment even.
Right.
Because we really don't know how we experience this. We really don't know that what if John's moment really was the July 22nd, but mine's the 16th? And that's just actually how it plays out, and we experience these things. That's one thing that I question a lot about the date thing, and that it may not have relevance, or how we can have so many different stories regarding that. Of course, we have higher percentages of people saying within this time under hypnosis sessions, because they will predominantly experience it at that time. And I think it's just a shifting kaleidoscope constantly as well too. So
yeah, and I get a lot of, people leave comments and they're like, the event didn't happen. It's going to happen for everybody at the same time. And
how do you know that?
Right. That's my whole thing. Every time it's like, dude, it's like the way the Mandela effect works. It's like a completely separate experience for each individual person. There's no blanket anything when you look at these impossible changes happen. So how do we know? I mean, we see like the Rainbow Mountains, and some people are like, oh, they've always been there. And for me, they aren't. I mean, they're brand new. And then like since I first discovered the first set of them in like China, there's like 3 or 4 more new sets that's popped up, and people are like, no, they've always been there. So I think it's going to be an individual thing.
I do.
And I think it's already happening, and people just don't even see it. And sure, there might be some sub events to the overall event, some big jumps, but I kind of viewed the whole thing, the event, as a ladder, and we're sort of climbing this ladder, and we could skip a few rungs maybe, but everybody's got their own ladder too. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, and they're placing that ladder in their own place on the grid. See, like, that's a really great example, Shane, because, like when we talked about the vibration that you're at, when you hear the Laurel Yanni, and we talked about the Mandela effects and everything. If you remember that conversation we had a few shows ago, and how I saw that those things were all correlating to really show you the same thing, is that the individual experience may vary based on their vibration. So they're literally seeing and hearing a different experience, but on the same grid. Right? Like if we have the same grid, but we're walking around based on our vibration, actually viewing, hearing, and like experiencing this on a different level based on our vibration. And then, like you said, so then we each have our ladder, and as we climb rungs in the ladder, well, that ever changes our experience. So we can't even see anymore the other ones down like 6 rungs on the ladder who are viewing and hearing that experience. So, and I think this is kind of a small idea or way to see this quantum experience. And I think that gave us kind of a peep or an idea on how it can be viewed and heard and experienced differently within the same grid. But that's it. We're going to climb the top. We're going to climb to the top of that ladder within the grid. There's nowhere else to go. And that grid will dissolve beneath us, and boom, we got to be up on the next grid, right?
Definitely. So let me see here. Let me type in here. Okay. What was it going to go? Oh, okay. This is what I wanted to kind of go through, because this is, we were talking about this, me and Nathan were talking about this yesterday, about how people seem different. And, many of us have people in our lives that seem like completely different people. They completely respond differently. Either they're more hostile, either they've gotten nicer. And I'm sure for a lot of the people in our lives, we're completely different. I mean, how do we not know that we're shifting all the time, and maybe we've already shifted up, and these people that seem more hostile and angry in a way they've never seen before, maybe they really aren't. I mean, maybe they're a different version of themselves. Maybe they've been taken over by the Matrix. We just don't have any idea how all this works. But I do see very strange behavior with people in my life that, I know, and they don't share the same memories. I bring up things that's happened in the past, and they're like, that's not what happened. And I'm like, what? Are you not the same person? You know what I mean? You bring up memories, and I mean, I've got, in my teenage years, there was that scripture, the truth shall set you free. That was this big moment in my life with me and my best friend and his sister. And for him to, say, no, the truth will make you free. It's always been that, and it's like, we quoted it so many times just from heart, and for him not to remember that. it's like it's not the same person. It's like a different version of him, you know? So, I mean, at some point you have to consider that, you know, that date, he might shift out. We might be stuck here with a different version of him. And we think nothing's happened, you know, like, yeah, he's kind of a jerk since the 22nd or whatever,
I
you know, but
agree.
maybe he's gone. I mean, we don't know how any of this stuff works. It seems so individual that, you know, we're expecting this big, real obvious thing to happen. But like I said with the Rainbow Mountains, you know, we've got some really big, obvious things that's happened and nobody's noticing them. So, I mean, how do we know how any of this stuff works,
Yeah.
really?
I know you're like, you do not see that? You're like, look up, you don't see that. I know that's pretty crazy. But, you know, I think that is really a very good possibility, at least like for me in my mind. That's why when I'm doing any work now, I'm focusing on closing all timelines through all dimensions. So I'm collapsing as many of my timelines at lower vibrational levels and doing the work throughout to be able to close that all and bring it all back to the highest vibration in my one now experience. It's like collecting all those, you know, if I was a full deck of cards and it's like bringing all those cards sort of back in to my full deck. So when I'm, you know, doing that work to elevate my vibration, I'm consciously making sure that I'm doing it through all timelines and
Yeah.
through all dimensions to collapse any of that as well. So, and I think that is helping by bringing all that energy back in collectively to the whole pack. It's making you stronger too. Like how easy is it to cut through one card or two, but you can't cut through a whole deck.
Right.
So I just got that visual. So I think that's a good possibility, and that's why I've been focusing on collapsing all timelines and making sure that all that work goes through all those possibilities,
And I
covering all my
think
bases.
Michelle's opinions brings up the fact that some people don't handle the dark night of the soul well, and I'm not really speaking to, you know, being. I think we should be compassionate, but I was talking really specifically about people that, you know, you have these huge memories together, and then they don't remember them, and it just seems like a different person. I'm not saying to treat them any differently, but it's hard to treat them like they're the same person when, you know, what makes a person is the memories you do share together. And when those seem to be breaking down for some reason, it's just odd, you know, and it's hard to treat them like the same person. I'm not saying to treat them mean. It's just, you know, you tend not to want to be around the people anymore if they don't seem like they're really, I mean, even they look and sound and everything like, you know, this person you knew, but you don't share. It's like you don't share those memories together. You're going
So
to
who's
naturally
changed more
separate.
though? Could it be you or could it be them?
And that's what I was saying. I mean, did they get raptured out into another body, or did they get taken to paradise? And now we're left with sort of this, you know, core, or did we get sent out? I'm not saying I even have any idea. You know what I mean? We might be constantly there's people that, you know, they're saying we shift all the time, and that could be true too. I have no idea. You know, I haven't seen any solid proof to make a conclusive decision about how any of this works. I just can see things are happening and they're really strange. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really weird.
Well, my other thought too about it is that the 3D matrix is a complete illusion. The things around us are all illusion. And in a lot of ways, because we don't know the greater truth, the relationships that we have are an illusion as well. So, how much is illusion even that you're experiencing with that relationship anymore? That's what I start to wonder, that even those relationships are actually illusions as well.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even know if we're sort of in our own hologram. And just like in our dream world, you can dream about people that you know during your awake time, and it's not like you wake up and you're like, hey, we had that dream together. We were in the park and we were doing this and this. And they're like, wasn't me there, dude. I mean, I know it looked like me, but that wasn't really me. And, you know, how do we know we're not going to wake up and everybody that we know in our real life is just, you know, part of our own separate holographic fake reality or something? I mean,
that's kind of how I see it though.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like almost, you know, when we come out of it and come out of the game, all those like you and I who have a connection. That's not illusion, right?
Nah,
When the
who
light
knows? What
workers,
if everybody other than yourself are NPCs? No, I'm
maybe,
just
well,
saying.
that's it. And but are we playing the virtual reality game like together?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like how people go in
right.
on, online and
Yeah,
they're in their avatars, but they're still
totally.
playing the game together.
Yeah.
And is that like your higher self? And you're
Hmm.
sitting because you can talk to each other with your little video game microphones and stuff and be like, okay, well, you go over here and we'll regroup and grab them here and do this and that. Me, that resonates a little bit with me, but I don't like to hold on to any one idea. I just like to let them sift through my
Yeah, until we
hands
know
and
for
release them
sure.
and let them go and just go, like we talked about, but well, that's an interesting facet and that's an interesting color and that could be so, but there's also this over here that could be so. And
Yeah.
and you gotta release them instead of fixating, because we can all get too convinced on what that experience is for us, and that may be very true for us, but again, I really don't think that's true for everyone else.
Overprotected said, yo, I dreamed I met Shane and he was like 7 foot tall. I am like 7 foot tall. You guys just didn't. I'm just kidding. I'm only 6 foot. I'm
You
only
guys
six
didn't
foot
know I was
one and a half.
3 inches.
I am literally sitting on a soapbox right now. I'm like,
Yeah, I live in a
4 inches tall.
matchbox house. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm 6 foot one and a half. So just so you know, I'm not really 7 foot tall. I used to wear stilts while I was doing construction, so I was about
Well,
7 foot
according to
tall.
your grandson, I'm sure you're 7 feet tall.
Right. Or
Right?
taller even, yeah.
Everybody has their perspective.
Oh,
Yeah,
you have fun,
for
Lori,
sure.
walking the dog, enjoying nature.
Yes, happy dog walking, Lori. So I've noticed, you had mentioned this months ago, but I'm finding this is really picking up for me, is spontaneous, in-depth childhood remembrances. Just
Like,
whoosh coming in, but then once it starts, I'm like, oh, I'm just remembering so much detail and so much stuff, and like it's so random to be to have it pop into my head and something I thought I probably forgot about even.
yeah.
So I'm having that in conjunction with deep dream remembrances as well. So starting the recall of these old memories and the recall of these old dreams is a very similar experience as far as being sort of spontaneously remembering and then really being able to have my mind back into that experience to feel and smell and go back in and feel the resonance of that experience again, to be able to pick that up, and then through it I'm able to recall all those experiences. And I'm finding that is coming up regularly throughout the day with repeated like more intense and
Are they
getting
are
more
they specific
repeatedly.
are they specific memories that seem of importance? Or are they sort of just mundane memories that
The magic of childhood, of playing, of experience, of how I experience things as a child without the lenses. I'm thinking the things that I really loved to do, the things that I was really able to immerse myself in, and how it made me feel, um, and the depth of the detail in recalling the things that I created, and the
these are
experience
actual
of
memories
making.
though, not just
Mm-hmm.
feeling?
Yes, but what's for the dreams, what's coming back is event dreams in greater detail and remembrance, really starting to tie into my daily experience. And this is what is really fascinating me, guys, because I'm feeling these spontaneous resonance flood in from these event dreams, and or the dreams that I've explained of that house that I go to that I just love so much, and I can tell you how to get there.
Hmm.
And it's been this process of acquiring the house, and it's just been this process for years going on. And those resonances to those dreams is coming back, but the resonance of the event dreams is in no way scary, intense in any way. There's actually a very comforting resonance, very powerful resonance that is not alienating in any way, certainly not anything to inspire panic or urgency or fear or anything. More homecoming feeling of resonance, of the immersiveness of the nature experience, the immersiveness of, there's anticipation, but not overwhelming need. There's something very comforting about this feeling. Very, very comforting on such a deep level. And it's spontaneously coming from within. And it's like I'm finding myself marinating more and more in this resonance. And this is what's really inspiring me even more so to feel the progression of these events coming. Because it's all going in line with the synchronicities of the time and the words and everything. Just like, we discussed it a few weeks ago. Like I felt like it was just going to pull itself in closer and closer and closer until the synchronicity, the resonance, everything was just overlapping on such a continuous way that boom, you're just in that now synchronistic resonant experience that I think that actually that boom pops us into the 5D. So I can feel it getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And that's what I do see. I see it coming soon. Mm-hmm.
Well, have you had any of those feelings like let me think of who it was. If it was with Lori, that we were talking about these overwhelming feelings of, they're like nostalgia sort of mixed with, what's the other thing that happens? Deja vu. It's like a deja vu nostalgia.
Resonance.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, but
that's the resonance.
It's not
nostalgia,
clear.
Deja vu, homecoming. There's something like, oh, you want to be there.
Right.
But yeah, it mixes with the deja vu. It mixes with the nostalgia. It mixes with the synchronicity. It mixes with your sensation of being in tune with nature.
I mean, do you have like
it was bittersweet, but not as much anymore because it's becoming more frequent. It's becoming more
about
now.
What you're remembering, I guess.
Yeah, and then the memories are pooling in. The memories that are attached with why it felt so good, why it's where I want to be, because it's just such a. It's so hard to put. I'm so glad you said those few words.
Yeah, because when it happened to me, I was at the stove. The time that happened really strong, and for a moment, I got a flash of being a child. I saw our kitchen table that I totally forgot what it looked like or whatever. But for a moment, it was just as clear as if I was staring at our kitchen table with the mail on it and all the thing that would hold the mail. It was like a little chicken thing, just like all of this flash.
Yeah.
And it was sad, but at the same time, it felt great because it was like, and then I think about my best friend who was having seizures. He has seizures from time to time. And usually when solar activity picks up, he'll like start feeling like he's going to have seizures or whatever. But he was telling me a few months back, he was like, I had this thing happen with my seizures where it was like the veil of time. Okay, so like, as memories get older and older, they get more and more cloudy, like harder to remember. Like there's this cloud of time that helps you place how old a memory is. And he was explaining it in a way I'd never really thought about. He goes, when you think about childhood, it's so foggy because it's so far in the past. He says, that fog went away for me during one of my seizures, and I was remembering memories from childhood just as clear as if they happened earlier today. And so I think people that have seizures and have issues with their brain and things like that pick up stuff can actually be an indicator of deeper, you know, they're just more sensitive because their brain is, maybe they have seizures and maybe their brain just a little more sensitive to stuff like that happening. But when he talked about that fog, I never realized we have this fog of time until he talked about that. I'm like, oh yeah, you're like, if something's less foggy, you just know it happened recently. And if something's like really foggy and hard to remember, you know it happened a long time ago. And that's sort of the way the brain files things away. So we have this indication of how long ago it was, but he was talking about how it just went away for him. And so, yeah, it made me think about that completely differently as he was sharing his experience. And he's asleep, you know, as far as he's the one I'm talking about that doesn't have the memories and stuff. So he's already got memory issues. He always has. So
I think he doesn't work in the time frame. You know, so that matrix of time doesn't. I think he's that much out of it. So when he has a seizure, he actually pops himself completely out of it. Yeah. You know, I think it's absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought this up too, because so what's becoming difficult is remembering. Was that yesterday? Was that this morning? Or was that last week? So this cloud that you're talking about is losing its definition now of us being able to place even the time on it. So I think this time matrix is literally lifting out. I love that you said this, because that's exactly it. When he pulled out of the time matrix,
because it's an illusion anyway.
But he was able to be able to fully experience those experiences again. There was no more fog. And I think this is what we're feeling now with our memory getting messed up, with the losing track of time. Like, time is just not working the same way for us, and our memory is not working the same way. And that resonance is coming back in of memories. I think we're pulling all those pictures back into ourselves, all those, those experiences that are where we want to be again.
Maybe it's all part of the veil, you know?
Yeah, I mean? And that cloud. Maybe that cloud, in essence, is that veil too, and that's being lifted, because we're losing track to even place. Like, did I do that? When did I do it? If I did, or was that last week when I did it, or was it this week? Like, it's just becoming such a meld of experience, of more constant deja vu and nostalgia feelings, and we're completely losing the sense of time. I think that is all the same ball of wax. I think that's fantastic. See, and it's almost like having that pull away of the time illusion, that shows you the truth. And I think of what we're experiencing right now, pulling out of the time illusion.
And it's like that fog is infinitely thick at birth, so we can't remember previous lives or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But you know, and as we get older, it's like, you know, not even at birth, really at like, I don't know, 2 years old or whatever. I mean, we sort of can barely remember stuff. When I can remember being in my crib in the dark and seeing the clock, and I can remember just very minor details of being super young. But for the most part, you know, there's a certain point where you can't see beyond that anymore. And to imagine that's part of the veil, and at some point that will just disappear. And it's like, hey, curtains up, you know, take a look at everything. Yeah. You know, and you remember it just like it's today. That's just mind-boggling.
And I think it'll just be like this. I just see this like a dolphin just diving, you know, into the different experiences that it wants to experience. It. You have access to that all at once, and you can put it into your now. And I just see this like we're the dolphin able to just whoosh, dive into that. And then, you know, dive into that and have access to all of it at any time that we want to pull it in and experience it, and just be doing it all in the now. Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful way, and a very interesting. I've never heard that story before of somebody having like a seizure and removing time, but in essence, I think that's exactly what we're doing, and why this is so weird right now on all these different levels. I think it all ties in together in pulling out of the time matrix that we're in. Yeah.
Yes to the fog lifting, Susan says.
Yes. I
don't know. He was talking about it being so, he said it was so emotional to feel like I was a kid again, and to just be able to experience those very young childhood memories with the mind of a child almost. It's like, you know.
That's what we're called to do now. I
Yeah.
think really that, and this is why it's so so important to focus not on the future event but to focus on the experience. A child would not, a young child would not be going around so much unless an adult's telling them, you got to wait for Christmas, you got to wait for Christmas, you got to wait for Christmas. They're not in that experience. I think that's what messes them up.
Yeah.
Is you have to wait till your birthday, you have to wait till Christmas, you have to wait in line, you have to sit down, you have to put your hand, like, it just causes them this. That's not the way they do things
Before they get jaded and tainted by life.
Yeah.
I came across a shirt once that I loved. It said, I used to be a people person until people ruined that for me.
Until people came along.
Right. And it's sort of like that as a kid. You haven't been done wrong so many times that you're just like, people kind of suck sometimes, don't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are mean
as a kid,
sometimes.
you're just like, hey, and that's it. And then you get, and you're like, whoa, like that didn't feel good.
Right.
And you pull yourself in. Oh, that didn't feel good. But I don't think that's our natural state to be either, and even as children, I think we would want to open when you see two babies play together, they're just in the experience, right? So yeah, I think that's just what we're going to be pulled to. And I think that's why these memories and the nostalgia feeling as well is coming up, and it's prompting us, it's calling us to be playful in this event, to be, to try to be joyful for it and release the 3D worries that have been layered on us. I know it's hard, but I think that's the ultimate, that's the big goal right now.
Yeah. And Susan's bringing up the fact that Dolores Cannon said we're here to learn to manipulate energy. And that's a pretty good way of looking at it, and just sometimes getting our own thoughts and energy, because everything's energy, really, vibration, like Scott Light Warrior Craig was saying earlier. Everything's vibration. It's sort of learning to get our vibration under control, because when we get angry, we can feel that angry, rigid vibration. You know what I mean? And it's like manipulating energy, our own energy, getting it under control, and our energy to create, our energy of our thoughts we put out there. And I've been realizing how much, just people judging other people without saying a word, like, look what she's wearing, or, why are they overeating like that? Look, they're letting themselves go, and they're just in their car at a Quick Trip or gas station looking at someone, sending those energies at that person, and that person is picking that up. You know what I mean? People don't realize how thoughts create feelings, and
maybe you just put 5 pounds on them they didn't need.
Right. Made them feel bad about themselves. Made them want to go eat it. Maybe they picked up
maybe they do. Maybe they pick up that in the head as far as even their own self-esteem.
Yeah.
You start to believe what other people say you are instead of believing what you say you are.
But there's this energy exchange always happening, and that's why I love the Celestine prophecies, because it really talks about the energy exchange that's constantly going on, and no one sees it. And it talks about people seeing it happen, and how people got in an argument, and people were, the winner of the argument was sort of stealing the energy from the other person. And there's all this going on behind the scenes that no one really sees. And, I've been really noticing it, especially since I read that book, how it's happening all the time, and people feel down and defeated at times just because of a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it can ruin your whole day.
And other people feed on that. I mean, we know that. Look at the comments. People say things that should have never came out of their mouth, and it's like
they just want to put you in your place.
Do you have to think out loud? There's some things that you think in your head that you don't need to really type it into the thing. You can just be nice and just keep it to yourself, right?
Well, yeah, and I think sometimes people, when people clutch so much to their belief systems, then they get defensive about it, and then that's when they have to correct other people about how they're wrong. Instead of just how do you know they're wrong in their experience? In their experience and their perception, that may be exactly how they experience it. Yeah. So I don't think it's really. You don't know that they're wrong. You only know you. So that's the other thing to be cautious of. Like, who's to say they're wrong? You?
Right. I'm surely not the one to say anybody's wrong. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
on the fence about everything. You know?
Well, that's it. I'll stay on the fence and just watch everything go by and wait for my higher self to go, okay, it's time to jump in.
Right. Well, there's certain things I know, you know what I mean? But I don't push those things. Like I know there's some kind of higher help helping me. I could be on the fence all day about what it
Yeah.
is, but I've seen enough evidence to know there's something going on I can't see.
There's
There
some
is some
things.
kind of help that I've got. I can't tell you for sure what it is, but it seems benevolent. It seems loving. And but I don't push that on anyone else. That's just my own experience. And
Yeah.
you know, it's wild.
And really, you know what? At the end of the day, love is just the most important thing of all. Like if you can't bring it back to love, if you cannot bring an intention back to pure love,
Yeah.
then it's not unbiased, intention or ego-based intention or need to push what you think is true because you have to defend that stance,
I think being open-minded is the best way to grow. Transmission Forever says, laugh out loud, Shane. Yes, you are talking about unbiased. And it's funny because it's like every time I've gotten caught so many times in life thinking I figured something out only to put my foot in my mouth later on. It's like, oh, I can't believe I was trying to push that idea on someone else. And now I completely see it differently. So it's
that's what I say when I got into the 40s. And it was like just, early 40s. I was like, okay, just, when I thought I thought I knew it. I've been there. I fought the wars. Right? And I thought I knew it. And that's exactly when life came in and told me I didn't know a damn thing.
It happened again with the Mandela effect. I mean, I reached that point where, it's like, oh, well, it's just.
Yeah.
There's, nothing more to life. And then, there's like the Mandela effect happened. I'm like, well, that doesn't fit with my worldview.
Yeah.
That's impossible with my worldview. And I had to go back to the drawing board all over again, even at that point, thinking I was unbiased and on the fence. You know what I mean? So I don't really jump off. I consider everything. And until we really figure it out, I'm just really open-minded. I try to be.
Yeah. And you know what? And then you will flow so much smoother, quicker, easier, along the rapids of change, right? Along that river of change. If you're ready to just go with the waves and let them take you where you need to go, you're just going to float right along, not struggle and thrash around. So the less concepts, the better. Give a couple of symptoms.
Yeah.
One was acne.
Yeah, I just was thinking about that this morning. I had this little pimple pop up on the tip of my nose. You can kind of see. So yeah.
So acne that you don't usually get.
Dry skin.
Dry skin, itchy skin.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, it was the memories and nostalgia. That was one of the ones I really wanted to pop in. I know there was one other, but
anything with the animals? I mean, you said they were already a little more clingy than usual.
Oh, for sure.
Is that changing at all, or are they still want to be by your side all the time?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I was sitting here. It was really cool. Just the other day, I'm sitting here. It's like the window's right beside me, right here. Obviously, you guys can tell. and
I thought it was your light body, actually.
Yeah. Oh! Bye, guys.
I'm out of here. Give me a lifeline.
But yeah, I'm sitting here and it's like, whoo, the birds are coming up really close. I keep noticing that. I notice other people, and then like Robin just hung right onto the screen, just staring at me. I'm like, hey, dude, how's it going?
Yeah, I had I had a bird in the front yard the other day. I was out on the porch and it landed, and I thought it was going to see me and like immediately fly away, but it like landed. I could tell it was looking, like birds look out of the sight, like that one eye at you. And it looked at me, took a couple steps towards me, and was like looking me up and down.
Yeah,
like that.
Gives you a little wink, wink.
It's like checking me out and stuff. And I like started whistling at it and stuff. And it kind of just walked a little closer, started pecking on the ground. I was like, he's not afraid of me at all. You know what I mean?
I think we're really noticing that with birds. I think that's one thing I think maybe a few other people out there can say, yeah. Noticing the birds are just like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Yeah, it's
Nice
totally.
day, isn't it?
Yeah, and Mr. MBB333, we talk about him all the time. I actually have his link down below,
Yeah.
because we talk about him so
We
much.
talk,
I'm
yeah, I know.
just gonna leave him in there but yeah, he had a few where the birds were acting really strange and hanging out next to that car with the guy, and like
Yeah.
he'd rather be down by the people than, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild times. And, the next thing I'm expecting is them to start talking to us. And it's like Narnia all of a sudden, and then people are like, no, animals have always talked to us, right?
Yeah. That was funny. That's really funny. It reminds me of one of the segments in my hypnosis session when I was on the New Earth, and we're sitting around the table and talking about what we eat, and how it's a mutual exchange with the plants of sort of consciousness and energy that we have, and so that we like to come together and share sort of the food with the plants that grows for us. We were able to it's a different experience, and we like to like make salads together with these different like everybody has a bit of themselves and their own unique experience in the food, literally. That was really neat. And Michael asked, he's like, well, does anybody eat meat? And it's so funny. And this is where it's really different, because I mean, I'm still eating some meat sometimes, but I mean, not as often. But the reaction was everybody just started laughing at the table, like, no, and because you communicate with the animals, right? And you have relationships, I have relationships with animals that I wouldn't even want to be around in this, but you have, it was like, well, friends don't eat friends.
Right.
It's like we started laughing. I'm like, what, am I going to eat my best friend?
Right.
And so that was just a really funny experience. And it was just like, everyone just laughing and making jokes about it. Like, funny to think about eating animals, but
like everything,
eating your friend.
The other thing is, and I totally agree with that, but I feel like the way trees and plants and everything are alive, it's like you can't really get away from eating anything. It's like everything's alive. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
gosh.
But at least with the plants, there was a mutual exchange and appreciation. There was
Yeah.
this mutual exchange of energy. Like what I saw, there was the plants that provided me food, literally like grew into my home. And there was a constant exchange of energy, and consciousness between them that they thrived from. So we provided for each other.
Right.
They grew
It's
in
like they live
benefit
on
of
through
my
you.
light.
Right.
Yes. And then what they grew for me was what would appeal to me.
Yeah.
In a sense. And that's why everybody could provide sort of different foods with different tastes and things. And it was like, if you wanted to taste a steak, well, you could eat a flour that was like eating a steak.
Right.
Because there was an exchange, so you could grow what you wanted to experience. You weren't taking anything away from the plant. You were giving just as much as you were taking. So you didn't have to take the life of the plant,
right,
in order to partake and eat. You were providing just as much as it was providing to you. There was a joy in this mutual experience. There was a joy in the plant providing this food for you. It was like giving gifts as much as you appreciated the gift of their beautiful flower. That was giving energy back.
Yeah.
And it's just like the Celestine prophecies where you're giving love and appreciation to the beauty of the plant that was enhancing how it was able to grow and the nutrition that it was able to provide for you.
Yeah.
It was a
and I think of
exchange.
Our power of manifestation. I remember when Angela was on talking about her son, Christopher, and he was talking about how they could just manifest anything, and it wasn't like, even if he manifested a steak, it wasn't like an animal had to actually die for it. And,
that's right. Yeah,
or a bowl of fruit or whatever. It wasn't like you had to kill a plant to get the grapes or the apples or whatever.
Yeah, well, there was definitely a sense too that you literally could create anything like that as well.
Right.
It didn't just have to be. I don't think that everybody, because I was up away from a town up on a hill, I did get a sense that there was some differences within the communities.
Yeah.
Could see that they would create that food or or in that different way, but that it was a choice of experience with the plants as well.
Yeah.
In a relationship that you had with them, almost like you would with the animals and such. So it wasn't that everybody had to do it that way. But there was a higher, because I went around creating things as well too. So in a lot of
Very
different
interesting.
ways.
But yeah, I mean, think about it. You can't eat a steak if you're talking to the cow beforehand. You're like, hey, what are you doing today?
Yeah, so what do you think? Do you need
Right.
that rib? Do you need that rib right there? You don't need that rib, do you?
Right. Or, Babe, the pig or whatever. And
yeah, the cow's like, back away. Just back away slowly.
Yeah, it was funny. I used to watch Mr. Ed as a kid, and you just imagine animals just talking. Or, like Narnia. Narnia was one of my favorite.
Yeah. In Wilbur, Charlotte's Web.
So it's hard to, yeah, when you imagine totally having conversations with things, it's like, because we never would, have a conversation with each other and then eat each other, not if we're in our right mind anyway.
Not with the way things are now.
There's some crazy people out there
that. But they don't really, It's definitely a lower vibration.
Right.
Really low vibration.
Right. It's
going Jeffrey Dahmer.
A few rungs down the ladder on those. Right?
Yeah, below. You went like below on that one.
Yeah, but like Scott Light Warrior Craig talks about, reaching a point where we're eating light, you know what I mean? That sounds totally cool.
Yeah, and I do get the impression that we are starting to take our nutrition in that way as well. You may not even be aware of that that's really coming in, and I think as it does, you will require less food, just want more water. And I'm certainly noticing that I'm being drawn more to fasting more now. So, and really
a lot of great benefits. Could be probably pretty powerful now.
If you're going to do it. Yeah. And it's finding those, those peak times and your body will tell you too. And it'll sort of prep you beforehand. And I think we start to feel the energies coming in, but I think this is where get your surfboards out, guys. So it's, I think the next few days, it's going to be pretty interesting. Keep an eye on that Schumann, see what we see going on with that. Not that I think that all the energy is going to show up there, but,
let me refresh that before we go and see what happened. And those who sort of hopped in late can see just how off the charts the Schumann has been. Yeah, it's just, I can see a little green at the bottom, but you can still see it's just it's ramped up like crazy.
I cannot believe, though, how fast this month has gone. I know we say this every month, but wow. Like, what? It's the 26th? How did that happen?
It's like we're over past halfway through the year already, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's just mind blowing.
I can't believe it. It's like a blur, and the train's not slowing down.
Yeah. And we're getting bombarded with that Schumann.
So, anybody got any questions or input today?
Let me see here. Scott Light Warrior Craig says,
hello, Scott. I love you.
4 dozen hearts. I'm just playing.
He's my BFF.
Let's see. Magic Sister, you had a question. What was it? My dearest brothers and sisters, please send your positive vibes to OK to pass medical Mary Jane. I beat the pain meds, just not the pain. I love you all so much. And I can't say what I wanted to say on the air, but let me just say this: whether it passes or not, just do what you need to do.
You do you, boo. You
do you, boo.
It's just a spiritual thing. Ask Bob. When in doubt, listen to Bob Marley. He'll tell you.
right before the and I don't anymore. I but I don't have any problem with it at all because I see the huge benefits, dude. I can definitely see why they are trying to keep it from the masses, because they want you on the pharmaceuticals instead of this natural remedy that is sort of like this magic I don't know. It's a magic medicine that works for so many different things. You see people with cancer have appetites from it, and then you can see other people in horrible pain. And then even my best friend that I talked about with seizures, he uses it for that. So I found it funny because I was listening to the statistics in Canada, and they said when they legalized it in Canada, the increase, they thought it would increase usage, and it didn't. And I was sitting here thinking, like, that's because nobody really gives a crap about the laws. They're going to do it if they want, right?
So, oh, yeah. I'm fed up with that. You know, really, it's a plant. You're going to tell me I can't grow a God-given plant on this earth?
Yeah, but we'll send our positive energies that, you know, because they're just looking for reasons to, you know.
Control.
Yeah, control.
And I don't think if marijuana is a gateway drug, to me, it's a gateway to spirituality.
And if you think about it, it dawned on me a long time ago when they were like, it's a gateway drug. I'm like, that's because you lump it in with the other drugs. And then when somebody tries, they're like, this is no big deal. Maybe cocaine isn't, you know what I mean? But if you were to completely, I mean, think about it. It's less harmful than alcohol. I think if anything, alcohol should be the thing that they made illegal before marijuana. But,
for sure. I learned that young. High school, I learned that. You go to a house party, the drunks are in the kitchen breaking beer bottles over their heads while they're trying to make something in the oven that they're burning.
Right.
And there's pipes everywhere. And, right?
Or dad's
and then you
coming
go into
home
the living room and the stereo's on, playing some chill house music, and everybody's chatting on the couches and laughing.
Abusive fathers and parents and things like that. You never hear of them coming home and being abusive because they smoked a joint. I'm serious. I mean, it's hilarious to think about it, and it's like, you know, I don't know. It's just weird that things are so backwards.
You're far more likely to sit down with your kids on the floor with a box of crayons and start coloring with them. Right. Forget about the time, right?
And then even driving, you're like more likely to maybe get lost. Where am I again?
Than you are to under the speed limit.
Right. More paranoid.
You will actually drive under the speed limit. Yeah.
Is it okay to pull out? You know, you're paranoid about pulling out. I think I'm going to wait. No rush, you know. Wait for a bigger gap.
Am I speeding? You're going 20. Feels like you're going 80.
Right. But it's really backwards if you ask me. And I think it does a lot of good. And like I said, I've seen them give that CBD oil or whatever the active ingredient in marijuana is. They give it to a kid with seizures, and within seconds of rubbing it on his chest, it just stops.
Or the ones when they have the shakes, and it could be from the medication, it could be from different things, and they'll actually stop shaking. They can actually say a sentence. They can, you know, you have no right to take that away from anybody when it's a plant they can grow in their own backyard.
No, I'm sorry to hear that, Raleigh. Yeah, it's.
I have a message from a viewer through an email that she's asked that I could pass along because she's looking for some help with. So I just wanted, because she sent an email before and I forgot to mention it. I didn't want to forget again. So the message is from Elk Hess, and she is looking for assistance with creating a website. Sorry, trying to see if I can creating a group. So she's creating a group on MeWe as well under her full name, Elk Hess. This is really about communication and community. So if you are interested in helping, if you have a little more experience with any of this, with websites and stuff, she's really requesting some help as a light worker from the community of light workers to see if you can help her figure this out, because she doesn't know where to start. So you can email her at elke_hess@yahoo.de. Is that right?
That's funny.
Elk, if you are hearing this and watching this, put a comment down below this video that we're doing today. Give a better description for people of what it is you're looking for this website and what kind of help you will need. People will look for your comment, leave your contact info so they can reach you. And I'm sure you'll get some more responses that you need. So you guys take a look for her comment. Yeah, and maybe you can take a check for it too, and help her out with that. So she wrote me twice, and
if you can actually spell it out instead of put a link, say like just search this name on, then you won't automatically go into the spam filter. So if you can avoid using links, if you're not a moderator, that will make sure you get it. And okay, so this is coming back. Okay, so I got to share this with you because this is how I live my life through synchronistic things, right? So I'm sharing this dream I had with you earlier today when I
which you said you would,
which I said I wasn't going to share, but then we get on this topic that we were just talking about, right? And then somebody says, and Simba says, "What have your most recent dreams been about?" Then I was going to let it go, and Jose copies it and pastes it back in there. What has your most recent dreams been about? Why? Why?
You gonna tell it?
I got to now. It's like I'm supposed to tell it. So I had this super vivid dream today after I went back to bed. I have no idea why. It made no sense to me. But I had this get together at my dad's house. And like I said, I don't smoke weed or anything anymore in my life. So this was really strange. But I was with Dr. Dre, along with other people, but Dr. Dre, Little Wayne, and then David Chappelle, and we're all hanging out and we're all smoking weed together. I have no idea. And I have these, I could feel the effects of the weed in my dreams, which she was saying that maybe I was feeling the energies. So, and I remember I was like trying to talk to Dr. Dre and ask him about if he realized the Mandela effect with his Beats headphones and stuff. I mean, it's a super vivid dream. I don't have that many vivid dreams like this, but so yeah, it was super weird that I'm like hanging out and yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. It will, and because I asked you, well, did you experience actual sensations?
Yeah,
and
Chappelle had the best. I can even tell you that David Chappelle's was like Sensimilia. It was like real happy feeling, and like Dr. Dre's and Lil Weezy or Lil Wayne, his was like they were real like heavy and
How many of you are laughing right now? This is just so hilarious.
Little Weezy.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle was there. And what was Dave Chappelle worried about?
Oh yeah, he was worried about he was real self-conscious because he got the joint real wet and stuff. He's like, "Sorry, man, I didn't mean to get it." And he's like, "Here, let me try to light it for you so you can hit it and stuff." And he was super funny and it was just crazy.
Don't duck ass the joint, my friend.
Right. But and then Dr. Dre was real. He acted like people act when you bring up the Mandela effect. When I was asking him about the Beats headphones, he acted like he kind of noticed it, but it was no big deal. And super weird, dude. Super weird.
That was great.
So that's what my most recent dream was about, and it was.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to share that for somebody. Who knows?
You are. I knew when you told me. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. You're gonna tell it. You're not gonna go this. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is too good.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre and we.
Dr. Dre. I'm hanging out with rappers that what's the deal?
In your parents' house in your old basement.
Yeah.
Parents' house.
Yeah, it's just weird.
That's awesome. But you were experiencing a real sensation. It was such a vivid dream. So, for you to not have it really stood out to you, right? And you experienced sensations with it. So this is, I think, with the wave coming in now and this energy, please guys, especially now, I think that the wave energy is going to come in your dreams more. So I would expect again to be experiencing real sensations and real stuff going on in your dreams now, where you may get hit with that actual like blissed out wave energy again. So I'm really excited for that. And if you guys do, please email me. Let me know a bit about it so I can coordinate, so we can show people that that if that is what's happening, because I think that's what will unfold. We're due for another hit of Wheezy. of Little Wheezy.
Little Weezy. He was fun too. He was just like, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And Dre was real shy seeming, and it was weird that
I would have been in there gelling for sure. with Fitty.
It's weird. It's not even like I listen to rap music to where I would have those guys on my mind, and I haven't watched Dave Chappelle in gosh, decade at least, and people say he's a clone now and stuff. So I got to hang out with the real Dave Chappelle. It wasn't the clone version. People are saying
yeah. Who's cloning Dave Chappelle? Come on. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was there. I was just busy in the back room with Fiddy and them.
Rap war.
Laying down some tracks.
Right.
With my drums.
That's so wild. Yeah, but
that's awesome.
It's like, why would I have that dream? It's just strange.
Well, I think it's great that you had it to bring it up today, because I think that, tonight, tomorrow night, the next few with the full moon coming up, like, I think a lot of people are going to really experience some amazing things. So I think it's a great thing to bring up, because it's like, hey guys, pay attention now.
I think what you were saying, what you were saying really made the most sense to me. When I look at the Schumann resonance, and if I was feeling all these strange waves and being bombarded, and that was the closest thing my brain could make sense of what I was feeling in my sleep time this morning, because it was like it felt so heavy, and I was like, I just got to go back to bed, and
you were smoking weed in your sleep, dude. Like, that's gonna knock you out.
Right. And I woke right up after Dave Chappelle's happy, energetic stuff. So
that's great. You got your own private Dave Chappelle show.
Right.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, Scott, like where you're saying I should try to get him on the show to talk about the dream. Yeah. I doubt they were there.
Send an email.
Yeah,
you never know. You never know. I think he gave up weed though. No, I don't think so. He probably went back.
He's at the gym. He's buff. I know that Dave Chappelle has. He's really buffed up. He looks like he goes to the gym a lot and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Woody Harrelson's story of he gave up weed for a couple years, if you can believe it. Woody Harrelson gave up weed. And it was what's the country singer who's known for his smoking abilities?
Yeah, Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And his Willie Nelson just kept trying to trick him. You know how you're like, here, and you just trying to slip it in there,
Right.
And I think what you need, it was Willie that got him back. Oh dear.
Well, I guess we can wrap it up. Zoe's like, that's enough.
Sign. That's our sign. Willie's here. Gotta go, guys.
Well, lots of love and light to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, Michelle. We'll see you next Tuesday. And
one more story. I'm going to be with Michael Garber tomorrow. We're doing a show, not sure the time, on transformation. So we're going to be doing that with Michael tomorrow. And on Thursday, K2D4 Network with Dan.
Awesome.
2 Eastern Standard Time.
Perfect.
Live with phone calls.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in. Sorry, before I forgot.
Oh, no, perfect. I appreciate you. Lots of love and light to everyone in the chat. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.
Love you guys.
Peace.
Peace.